Merry Christmas. Well, maybe it's a bit too early. There will be more videos that I will pre record for this season. But at the same time, it's never too early for Christmas. So, just in case, Merry Christmas. And yes, welcome to Check That Book, a special place on YouTube where we get acquainted with arguably the most disturbing books ever written and occasionally recite some poetry together. And, well, I recite, you listen. Santa's naughty list. Well, I bet the people who created these two adaptations I'm going to briefly talk about today, they are not just on Santa's naughty list. Those people have a special place reserved for them. The story of O. Remember, I talked about this one on my channel. Well, this book has two film adaptations, very well-known ones. Very well-known ones. Yeah, right. It's not a mainstream cinema. It's not a mainstream book. Well, if you remember me talking about Marquis de Sade and 120 Days of Sodom, then how am I going to show you the footage today? I figured if I could show you 120 Days of Sodom, by Pasolini, that is, if I could show you some footage from there, Story of Woe should not be a problem. However, the quality is lacking, so my apologies. I will show you what I can, not just because of the censorship, but I will blur things, don't worry. But the thing is, the quality is... it is difficult to watch, mainly because of the quality. But this sort of cinema and this sort of genre, this sort of style is appreciated amongst certain people. Usually these are underground communities we should not talk about, but I do not wish to linger here for too long, so let's start with the eldest of the two, the 1975 adaptation. The film stays relatively close to the book's plot, though some scenes are stylized for cinematic purposes as well as the censorship of the time. Whilst the book is set in 1950s France, with the context subtly influencing the narrative, the film keeps this historical context. Some could argue that the book delves deeply into the psychological and philosophical themes, including submission, power dynamics, and identity loss. That's something I talked about in my first introduction to the book, but let's be honest, this is a BDSM vernissage. What a cool word. Yes, this is a vernissage of the BDSM elements. And the films, both films actually, they focus more on that, obviously. This is both films are erotic, uh, with less emphasis on introspection. They're downright porn, honestly. I mean, with plot. And as much as I understand that this genre exists and it's necessary for some, it's even considered art, and that's fine. uh, Disturbing? Oh, how... I mean, if you find porn can be disturbing, sure. By the way, if you want a special video on porn, oh no, we're not going to talk about that. But yes, this one, obviously, what is there to talk about? The films, I mean, the first one is basically your 70s exploitation. And I don't know, disturbing? Yeah, sure, taking into account what it's based upon and the torture scenes there, but at the same time, it kind of looks cheap and looks like everybody's participating willingly, which I guess they are because these are actors and they're paid for it. But it doesn't go as deep into the psychology of it as the original book did, albeit Andes Class confessed that when she wrote the story of O, she basically just described her sexual fantasies. So, not too much psychology there, but still, if this could be a potential character study and a psychoanalysis of a woman and her sexual frustration or, again, fantasies and stuff like that. I mentioned it was like a love letter to her lover at the time, yes? The films, no, no. This is your average exploitation cinema, in my opinion. Also, about the 1975 film, what could I say? I could add that this one provides a slightly softened and even romanticized conclusion compared to the book. If you don't remember, then the book concludes ambiguously, leaving much open to interpretation about O's fate. Now, the 2002 version, well, yeah. Um, this adaptation leans into glossy, softcore eroticism, often prioritizing titillation over storytelling. The 2002 adaptation looks like an erotic thriller to me. This one, it's again, like I said, it's modernized, and for some reason, whilst usually when you get a remake, right, or a later created adaptation, you usually expect better quality, and you expect, if it's something disturbing or a horror, you expect it to be worse in a good way. You know what I mean? You expect to see more messed up stuff. The 2002 version is set in a contemporary urban environment. It alters the original story's atmosphere by a great deal. So we don't get the same lingo, we don't get the same mannerisms, but we still get the same porn. I mean, again, I'm not an expert in pornography. I'm not an expert in cinematography, but as an admirer of cinema, as an admirer of the disturbing genre in its psyche and what it means to people, I can see why the story of Vow is considered a disturbing film, but the book is more disturbing than the movie because honestly, this this softcore porn can't offend you too much. At moments, it's even beautifully done. Again, depends on your taste in cinema, that is. But to do both films justice, I have to admit that both 1975 film and the 2002 adaptation, they balance the eroticism with the sort of artsy cinematography to avoid straight up pornography, which is a good thing. We're not here for porn. I mean, it's still softcore porn, but I mean, if you want this sort of content, the 18 plus content, then you have other places for that. But this one, yes, it shows you some, but at the same time, it's very stylized. Stylized would be the correct term. The minor differences that I've mentioned, like in the setting and in the tone of the film, they reflect actually the challenges and creative choices in adapting a rather complex, controversial novel into films for varying audiences and cultural contexts. Both films are faithful to the original subject of submission, and I think that's the most important thing here when it comes to book versus movie. Do they deliver the same idea? Yeah, they do. In my opinion, they do. But I'm not a fan of 70s exploitation, even if it is romanticized and softened. 2002 version, however, yes, um it's more accessible, I guess. But again, personal preferences. What else is there to say about this? Actually, I would stop right now and continue with promoting my book. Thank you all so much for watching. Before we wrap this up, let me again remind you that I myself have written a book that can be considered disturbing, but not necessarily. It's a poetry collection. What is there to be disturbed about, you might ask? Well, some moments here and there. So, yes, once again, I wish you happy holidays. I thank you for watching. And if you like disturbing content, consider giving this video a boost in the form of an erect thumb. And make sure to subscribe for more. Take good care of yourselves and your loved ones, ladies and gentlemen, especially during the holidays. Have a good one. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.